Now, I want to get into something because this has been bothering me, and this occurred to me last week, actually, that we seem to have a habit of saying that one thing is responsible for something else, and it's never a mixture of items. And the specific topic I'm talking about is the fact that we have a lot of businesses struggling to find folks to work for them. And that has been blamed on government handouts, and that does play a part. But I think there's another part that's really, to me, a positive that goes through your office. And I wanted to get you in here to talk about the formation of new businesses in Mississippi is through the roof right now.
It's incredible. And we were talking a little bit earlier, and really to put it in perspective, we're kind of on this 3-year run to look at the different trends. And 19 and every year, just so folks understand how this works, every year we look at the number of new businesses that were formed. At the end of the year, we looked at the number of businesses that were dissolved, and obviously we removed the dissolved from the new business formed, and that number produces net new businesses in Mississippi. So for perspective, let's look at 2019. We had about 3,300 net new businesses.
So 3,300.
That's it. So then you look at 2020 and people think, well, COVID, that number had to decline. We had 33,000 net new businesses last year. And let me just tell you, right now we're 15% ahead of that number this year. So it's continuing.
Wow. So,
it's incredible.
After the lockdowns ended, it didn't stop.
The beautiful thing about Mississippi is, look, we're resilient. And folks that lost their jobs, maybe they had this dream in the back of their mind and thought, why not now? I don't have a job. I've got to try something. I've got to put food on the table for my family. And I love that about Mississippi. And so I think that's one of the reasons that we saw this huge number. And you couple that with, Dave, and we've talked about this, you couple that with our focus on cutting regulations for businesses. And folks are saying, wait a minute, Mississippi is a great place to be right now in the business industry because they're business friendly. We've got this advocate in the Secretary of State's office that's doing everything they can to cut regulations. Why not now? Why not me?
And that's the thing. It is incredibly simple to form an LLC or a new business entity in the state of Mississippi right now. You've got it streamlined at this point.
Look, as you know, you've started your own.
Yes.
It's $50 in about 5 minutes and really quick. And one of the things that comes behind that, though, and one of the things that we have seen, and you and I have talked about this as well, is these schemes that are out there. The folks are trying to take advantage of people. And we had a settlement last year from a company in Mississippi, Centurion. Basically, what they do is send out this certificate, application, get your certificate. You do not need that. I want to repeat that. You do not need that. What that is a scam. They're trying to get you to send $90 in. Last year, they made over $300,000 from hardworking Mississippians.
Wow.
We led to a lawsuit. We got the Attorney General to sue them. Unfortunately, on the settlement side, we didn't go to court, but we settled it. Basically, they had to add new language on the bottom, and we've got a form right here.
I brought an example in. I was talking about it this morning.
That says you don't need this. You don't have to have this. Basically, you can get what you want from the Secretary of State's office, and it's a certificate. And if you go to our office, it's $25. But again, as you know, once you file, we send you a PDF, and you can print it out that says, hey, I'm a good business here in Mississippi.
It's suitable for framing.
You don't have
it's
to.
Color.
That's right. So part of the other part of the settlement I wanted to talk about was basically there was a refund portion in there. But instead of forcing this business just to simply refund everyone that they were scamming, the individual had to request the refund. Now, how many folks are going to go back and do that? They probably didn't know about the lawsuit.
Right, that's what I was going to say.
And number two, they're probably busy trying to make money. They don't have time to do those little things. So we see it this year. Again, they are about 10 to 15% ahead of their profits they made last year. So they're still scamming Mississippians.
Wow. And just let me ask you, as the Secretary of State, and I want to make sure we make this perfectly clear, because sometimes the word scam gets thrown around. If you get this, that I'm holding up, I've got one, 4 days after the formation of the LLC, this was in the mailbox, 4 days. What, if any, what are the benefits if you fill this out and send them the money? What do you get for your money?
As I understand it, you get a nice, pretty little certificate that means nothing. You can get, if you want that certificate, you can get it from us for $25 online. If you get it from them, it's $90. So again, you don't have to have that. Everything you need comes from our office when you register with us, and you pay your $50 for if it's an LLC or whatever formation you get there. Again, though, the important piece to remember is if you see any kind of solicitation like that, please call us. Email us, call us, let us explain to you if you need it or not. We're going to tell you, and hopefully you will do that before you send your $90 check.
Well, and that's been part of your efforts and the ongoing efforts even before you came into office to strip out some of the regulation and get rid of a lot of the hoops that you have to jump through. There are remarkably few hoops that you have to go through to get that legal business formation side of your business going. All the work happens after that 5 minutes is over. That's
right.
When you get busy.
That's right.
And it's got nothing to do with you. At that point, it's the business owner. But there aren't that many hoops to jump through. But it just amazed me the speed with which this showed up. And it clearly says in here, it says in the letter that, you can get this from the Secretary of State's office for $25. They come right out and tell you in here if you read the entire thing.
Small print at the very bottom.
Yeah. But otherwise, just send, and I love the pricing, $90.09. Where did the 9 cents come from?
Maybe that makes up for the number they had to refund last year.
That's it.
Who knows?
That's
Who
it.
knows?
It's asset recovery.
That's right.
I think is what you would call it.
That's it.
Back to the people, though, that are filing the business. And by the way, if you got taken by this, don't feel bad. Because it looks official, it feels official, and if you're busy, you don't have time to read through it sometimes, and you see it, and it looks official, and you just hand it off to somebody, or you yourself just go ahead, fill it out real quick, write a check, send it in.
That's right.
You think it's part of it, so
and they're mining our data daily. So it's public information that they can go mine, and they put it back into their, obviously their computers, and it spits out these letters to every single new business in Mississippi. So you're going to see it. I've received them myself. We're setting new businesses up. You have, obviously, 4 days after you set it up.
4 days.
So just be aware. The key is to educate Mississippians that they do not need that. You do not need to lose your $90. And if you have questions, please call our office.
It's just that simple. Now, back to the number of businesses, the net business gain, I guess we'll call it, in terms of the number of businesses, 10 times what it was in 2019. And this year, maybe more than 10 times.
We're ahead of schedule this year. The last time I looked, we were 13,550 new businesses ahead of this time last year.
Oh, wow.
So, it's incredible. It's an impressive number. And we talk about how resilient and hardworking Mississippians are. They've got a shot to take a chance at their dream, to start a new business of their own. And God bless them. Go get it. That's what it's all about. That's the American dream, and it's still alive. And here in Mississippi, we want to foster that by cutting regulations, making sure that businesses can survive and do what they do best. And that's, react to the market. And that's what it's all about.
And that's the beauty of it, because it can happen so quickly. We spent more time coming up with a name for this one than we spent actually getting it established. Now, we say that, and let's make sure we cover all sides of this. You talk about the net business gain. That's the number of new businesses after you subtract out the ones that dissolved. Are we seeing an increase in the number that have been formed and then they just kind of let them go?
On average, I believe is about the same. One of the things that we saw last year, just to go back to that really quickly, the Department of Revenue would call and say, hey, we saw this federal dollars coming in. And people say, well, 33,000, incredible. That's why? To your question earlier, it's not just one thing. There's a few things to talk about. So there was some, concern about folks trying to scam the federal government and get that's free, quote unquote, free money that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of interesting when the Department of Revenue would call and ask us about a new business. Oh yeah, they formed yesterday.
Yeah.
So there were a few that were out there, trying to take advantage of the federal government. Imagine that. But again, the vast majority of my mind were the folks that are just hardworking Mississippians trying to make a new life for themselves.
Well, and one way I think to judge that is, do they continue on?
That's right.
And I suspect we're going to see a lot of them continue on. But it just to me, it hit me that this could be another reason why we have other businesses that are having trouble finding people to work for them. The people that were working for them are now looking for people to work for them. So it's a twofold
And we know small
thing.
business is the backbone of our economy.